Good morning, friends. Miss Tatsky here. We're going to move on to Unit 7, Lesson 3. I can tell and write times an hour. Time to the hour. Boys and girls, today we're going to talk about time and what that looks like throughout the day. What does your day look like? What Miss Tatsky's day looks like? Why we need time. And then I want you to think right now, are clocks important? Do we need to have clocks? As we look at the analog and the digital clock here, the analog clock shows, let's do a quick review. Shorthand is the hour hand. The long hand, so the blue hand is the minute hand. So if we read this, it would say that it is 5, right? Because the shorthand here, that red hand is pointing right to the 5. Now the minute hand is pointing straight up to the 12. So that says 0, 0. And when we say that out loud, when we tell somebody what time it is, we wouldn't say it's 5:00. We would say it is 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Now, Miss Tatsky said we were going to talk about time throughout the day. So let's think a moment. At 5 o'clock, let's talk about the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? Well, I hope you said you were sleeping. If you're sleeping at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, some people, some moms and dads, or like Miss Tatsky, I'm waking up at that time. Now, 5 o'clock at night, what might you be doing then? Oh, you might be eating supper. Now, when we talk about time, morning and night, if it is 5 o'clock in the morning, we would say it's 5 o'clock a.m. 5 o'clock in the morning. And many clocks, digital clocks, might have that little AM next to the digital numbers. Let's look at the clock here. It says, what time is it? Again, that shorthand is pointing to the 11, so it's 11. And the long blue hand is pointing straight up to the 12, so it says o'clock, 00. If we're talking about 11 o'clock in the morning, we're talking about a.m. What might we be doing at 11 o'clock in the morning? Well, I'll tell you what, boys and girls, at 11 o'clock in the morning, if we were at school, you would have been eating lunch. We go to lunch about 5 minutes to 11. So at 11 o'clock, you should be sitting at the lunch table eating lunch. Let's look at this clock. It says, what time? What time is it? Oh, that shorthand is pointing to the 10. The long hand is pointing to the 12. It would say 10 o'clock. Now, we've been talking, if it's in the morning, it is a.m. But if it is in the afternoon, so if it's after 12 o'clock noon, now it's p.m. So at 10 o'clock at night, we would say it's 10 o'clock p.m. What time is it? You're right. It is 1 o'clock. Remember, boys and girls, that when we write the hour. So the shorthand, the hour goes first. So here, red hand, hour hand, that goes first. The blue hand here, pointing to the 12, that's the minutes. And the minutes goes after the 2 dots, after the colon. Let's look at this clock. Here, the analog clock just has the minute hand. How do we know that it's the minute hand? Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret. The minute hand just touches the outside of those numbers. If we go back here, boys and girls, the hour hand, it does not touch the numbers. Do you see that? So here we just have the minute hand, but our digital clock says, or it reads, 6 o'clock. So for us to show 6 o'clock on our analog clock, we would have to draw an arrow to the 6. You've got it. And we're going to say it is 6 o'clock at night. So it is 6 o'clock p.m. What would you be doing at 6 o'clock p.m.? Remember, that's after lunchtime, after you would get home normally from school. Moms and dads are usually cooking supper, right? And about 6 o'clock, you're probably just finishing eating, or you might just have begun eating if it's 6 o'clock p.m. Now, if it's 6 o'clock a.m., some of you might be waking up at that time. Some of you might be already at the babysitter or daycare, right? Because mom and dad have to go to work early. And some of you, boys and girls, you might be eating breakfast. Let's look at this clock. The digital clock says, you're right, this is the hour hand. So our hour hand needs to point to the 8. Notice when Miss Totsky draws, she just does her best, right? We're just doing our best. We want it to point towards that 8 the best we can. The minute hand, if you notice here, that minute hand, it already shows 00. So those are the minutes. At 8 o'clock in the morning, boys and girls, so if it was 8 o'clock a.m., school would just be starting. And if it's 8 o'clock p.m., you would probably be going to bed or getting ready for bed, or you might already be sleeping. Sometimes Miss Totsky goes to bed that early too. What time is it? Looking at our digital clock here, we see that our hour digit, the digit before the colon, says 4. So we know that that hour hand needs to be pointing, let's undo that, needs to be pointing to the 4. So it is 4 o'clock. What would 9 o'clock look like, boys and girls? What would 9 o'clock look like on the analog clock? You're right. Miss Totsky would need to draw an arrow pointing to the 9. And remember that hour hand is just a little bit shorter than the minute hand. What time is it? You're right. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to draw our arrow pointing to the 7. I want to tell you a little clue as to how Miss Totsky remembers the shorthand? Well, if I look at the word hour, it's only 4 letters long. If I look at the word minutes, or the minute, that word has 6 letters. So again, the hour hand is short and the minute hand is longer, just like the word. The word hour is short, the word minute is long. That's what helps me remember which hand is which. All right, let's look at this last one. It says 3 o'clock. Boys and girls, in the afternoon, 3 p.m. What happens? You're right. If we were at school at 3 p.m., we would be getting ready for buses and for moms and dads to pick us up, or we would be going to schools out. Today, you're going to continue practicing using your worksheet. All right, using that worksheet, you're going to practice reading clocks and writing the time on the digital clock. You're also going to practice writing what it looks like on the analog clock when you know the digital time. And then on the back, boys and girls, it's a little different. Here, you're going to take and fill in this clock. Do you remember what number goes on the top of our clock? You're right. Way at the top, it starts with a 12, and then we go 1, 2, 3, and we go all the way around until we get back to 12. All right. Then you're going to draw a time, pick a time, write it in the digital clock, and then draw the hands to show that time. Today, you also can choose, if you can, if mom and dad said, yep, you're able to reach Think Central, you can go on Think Central and you can complete lesson 7.3. Okay. Yesterday, you played the game Time to Go Camping. Let's pull that back out. You can play that again. Yesterday, you also cut out your bunny clocks as well as the digital clocks. Today, you're going to play a memory game. So you're going to mix them all up. You're going to set them out on the table. And then maybe a brother or sister, mom and dad can play with you. You're going to pick one card, flip it over, read the clock, then try to find the matching clock. Remember, one bunny analog clock will match up with one digital clock. All right. And then if you have time today, you can create a book. And in that book, you're going to tell me all about your day. So maybe start in the morning at 7 o'clock you wake up. So I want to see your clock and I want to see a picture and maybe a word or two that tells me what happens at that time. All right. I am going to let you get off to your work. Have a great day.